Hello everyone, October the 24th it is today as I'm recording this, and we are in this really powerful stretch of time which I told you about weeks ago. There are three separate stretches which I mentioned. September 11 to 17 was the first one, then October 6 to 16, and the real core phase, the most powerful phase of the month, is between the 26th and the 30th. I will tell you why. So let's start with the Sun's Scorpio ingress of yesterday, which happened to be also the first day of a new Mayan castle. And I will show you where that is. That is here. So in the Mayan calendar, October 23rd, at the signature 1 Ben, that is the red magnetic skywalker or pillars of light, which is the first of a new 52-day sequence. See, there's 4 13-day cycles in each castle. This is the second and the third. The fourth starts here in Wanahau. That's the days we just were through since October 10 to the 22nd, which was the building of the intent, as I said, as this is a focused high frequency phase, and with the Ben energy, the pillars of light, we get into actionable territory. Ben is the stalk of the corn plant, which is extremely strong. It is the spine. It is the pillars of light holding that integrity and being invincible, standing in one's energy. That's what it really means. So these coming 12 days still, as we today are on the second day of this wave, are under that umbrella, if you want. That's the base energy of this 13-day cycle, which takes us all the way into November. Let me get that clear. November the 4th, which will be the new moon, which will be exactly opposing Uranus within, I guess, 7 minutes of arc, very exact. So Uranus in the new moon axis, that in itself says it's getting a bit dicey. I guess I'm a bit understating with a bit, but yes, we are ready for it. I guess everybody here who is listening to my channel is in that understanding that things are just about getting serious. Serious in a good way. Don't get me wrong on that. It's really what we were waiting for a long time, and it's organically now building up to that point where it's the people who are really the moving factor. It's no more from top down, as I often mentioned in the last few weeks. We have been patiently waiting, the military and all the actionable forces, for that moment when the people are really ready, so to say, when from the ground up everybody is in that same place. I want to share at this occasion also this one here, which I just had on my screen as we quickly started through. So I just read this morning, and this makes so much sense. That whole hunt for the Red October, all these references in the various Q posts. So this is Pepyslav's Matter, and I'm forwarding here this really deep insight of Absolute Conviction 1776. As we all know in the movie Red October, Ramius, I think that is the U-boat captain, turns the sub right toward torpedo, thus keeping it from being able to arm in time. Another time he takes the sub to the last possible moment before steering the sub away from the wall. My point? We as a collective have steered right into the scare event, the Great Reset, in order to keep it from arming. By going warp speed, Trump took away their time to properly pull off the Great Reset. By steering right into it, we have disarmed it in the long run. Sure, the torpedo is scary as it heads right towards us. Yes, that's what's happening. But it won't explode. In fact, it will be intercepted by the Great Awakening at the very last possible moment. Well, sometimes you can't tell them, you have to show them. Let's see what happens. I found that really, really insightful, and it's so matching with the energy of this Scorpio new moon. Sun Scorpio ingress. Okay, yes, this is when a planet or the sun naturally changes signs. This is a new beginning. This is opening the door to a new room, and we're entering a new room, and as the energies are in that moment when we enter it, that is setting the pace for that whole stay of that planet or body in that particular section of the zodiac. So what we're looking at here is the sun at 00 degree Scorpio, and naturally Earth on the other side at 00 degree Taurus, which again is the sign of building a physical reality. So as much as Scorpionic solar energy is about deconstructing, about, as I wrote the other day, it is the fractalizing really which is going on right now. It's like on older computers, I guess it's no more necessary in the modern Windows 11 or 10 doesn't have that option anymore. But if you're having some history of computers, you know we have to defragment the hard drive once in a while to put everything in its right place again as it gets defragmented over time. So that's kind of what is happening right now. We are defragmenting the hard drive, and it's a fractalizing, which means everywhere you can find a hint of truth in it, and everywhere there is some untruth or some something really out of balance. It always comes. Every situation has both sides in it to a certain degree. I guess that's what I want to say here, which is an interesting thing of things first being taken apart into pieces. It's like your child when he wants to build a new Lego house. First he has to disassemble what he built before with all the Lego bricks, and then start afresh. So this is kind of that Scorpio Taurus polarity which is going on. On one side we are defragmenting, on the other side we are reintegrating in a new way. So what was, I mean, this chart, I shared it a couple days ago on Facebook and said I would do a little video on it, because it's a really powerful moment. That was when the sun entered Scorpio. So maybe the most obvious here is the Mercury Chiron in the ascendant, in the global ascendant, Mercury rising. Very clearly the theme is set, it's about perception. Yep. Particularly in Libra, Mercury is about categorizing and labeling, and also it's a leading sign, the sign of law and of doing things by the book, to going by the rules, step by step process. Chiron, on the other hand, here opposing Mercury, and this opposition to Chiron has been ongoing. you could almost say Mercury had an earlier conjunction, opposition with Chiron in the early days of September, then went forward to, I guess, something like the 20 something degree, and then was retreating, and has now been stationary very close to this degree for almost 10 days. So this Mercury Chiron energy is cooked, is ready. What is Mercury Chiron really representing here? Chiron is throwing in the darts, the questions, the doubts, saying, is that really so? Are you sure? Just open another layer. Maybe you will think differently. Just go a little deeper, dig a bit further down to the bottom to find what's behind it, what is the reason. Chiron is always interested in resolving what is out of balance. It's the doctor in a way. The doctor first has to make a diagnosis. He has to look at your body. He has to listen to your heart and whatnot, and get an interrogation going. Also asking questions. What did you eat? How did you sleep? Whatnot. That's kind of the Chiron influence here. So Chiron is questioning. And here at the 7th house cusp, very exposed. So we can expect this to be the main theme of this month. And then naturally with Mars here opposing Aries and T-squaring Pluto. This powerful square between Pluto and Aries, which I pointed out several times, which is the main theme of the past 2-3 years. They just had their last exact square aspect on October 9, and now Pluto will move further ahead and won't get into an exact square anymore, as it moves faster than Aries. Aries has about a 560-year orbit around the Sun versus Pluto of 247 or something. So Aries is almost half, or I should say differently, Pluto is about more than double the speed and overall than Aries. So anyway, that is the kind of the conflict we have, and we are in the tail end of here, between that female goddess intent of finding the truth and nothing but the truth, even if it is through conflict and hardship. We have to get to the bottom of this. So in that sense, Aries is in a way similar to Chiron. Also problem solving is very high on the list here. And naturally Pluto resembling, representing the powers to be, those structures, those in Capricorn, governments and institutions and whatnot. And Aries is throwing here a big challenge, saying, well, are you really up to standard? Are you what you're pretending to be? And Mars now coming in here, helping hand, and saying yes, doubling down. Yes, Aries, let's get onto that. Let's get that really lifted out of the box and looked at closely. So this is just kind of the most obvious. What I and then naturally we have. Okay, yes, let's just look around these few points here, because there's a great similarity with the beginning of this whole half year, which started with the Earth's aphelion, which is the moment when Earth was farthest away from the Sun. That happens around July 4-5 every year, and it's every year at a different time. It's kind of it's not a fully chaotic motion, because it can be captured in equations, but it's a very complex motion Earth has around the Sun. So that happened in July, and have here the chart. I really wanted to show you the similarity here, which was setting the theme for that whole half years, July 5 till January 5 around 2022, which I immediately said this was a very, very difficult chart. This would be a very challenging half year, and no question it is. We're right now probably close to the middle of it. I guess we are. Yes. July, let's say, yes, we sure are. July till January, I guess we're more than half through it. So, why? Moon, black moon, Sedna conjunction here at the end of Taurus, the moon void, of course, in a space of disorientation in a way. Nobody knows where things are going. Life has become totally unpredictable in that sense. The black moon, the collective shadow, we have to go through that dark night of the soul to find what really matters, and set now all the deep, dark, unknown alien worlds coming in here, to the secret societies, all that stuff coming into the open. Right here at the cusp of the third house in Gemini, that was very obvious that there would be lots and lots of disturbing information flowing in over these 6 months. And then, yes, with the Pisces and Virgo opposition here of Nessus and Orcus, another one which I have been talking about regularly, that opposition which is ongoing for several years, which is actually a trademark of the foundation chart of the United States. You see it here, 9 degrees Pisces is Nessus, and 9 degrees Virgo is Orcus. It is that exact same configuration as we have now in our present times. So that was at the ascendant of this global chart for the half year. Again, Nessus, the pathological dark energies which we are unpacking and starting to recognize how evil the so many of these influential and leading people are on our planet, the ones we trusted in, the ones we thought were our friends, how they are betraying us. That's all coming out of the box. And Orcus is the force which can transmute at best. Orcus is kind of a mirror energy to Pluto. Those two orbits, they are looking like two butterfly wings if you look at it on the orbit diagram. So Orcus is having a similar frequency like Pluto. Is also called a Plutino in that sense, because it shares about the same time of it takes around the Sun. Orcus in a way is the feminine part of Pluto, so also deeply transforming, going to the underworld, all that stuff we are experiencing right now. This is very Orcus Nessus energies. And naturally we had the nodal axis here, that was in July. You see right here T-squaring, making a grand square with these two. So that was the major theme too. And then Juno here, beautifully located at the south node. That shows, I said it several times too, that is that we are coming together as a people. Juno, partnership, teamwork, the realization that it needs many pillars to hold up a big roof, and if we work together, then we have an enormous power. That is that insight. Now, if we go to our present time, and again to this moment when the Sun enters Scorpio, as seen in Greenwich, at the 0 meridian, what do we see here in the 10th degree of Gemini, where this nodal axis was in July, which set the tone for the whole year, the whole rest of the year, I should say. So, okay, that is, I would say, the most charged point in this diagram, in this celestial mandala, which you could call an astrological chart to be. Ceres is the earth goddess, about love and care and supplying, giving us what we need to survive, to not just to survive, but to flower, to flourish, to succeed in a bit bigger way, to enjoy the fruits of our earth. And here comes the black moon, the dark shadow. The black moon, again, for those of you who are new, is the moon's position when it's farthest away from Earth. The moon moves in an elliptical orbit, as all celestial bodies do. They have a place where they're farthest away from the object they're circling around. In this case, it's the Earth, where the moon moves around, and then there's naturally the other point at the other side where a planet or the moon would be closest to Earth. The moon here in this respect. So that spot where the moon is farthest away is kind of comparable to the deepest trench in the ocean, where all the debris assembles, all the things we don't want to look at, we just shove it down there into the ditch, into the deep whatever, where we never will see it again. At least that's kind of the assumption, but not so. Whenever the black moon is coming into focus, then we are guided to look there and to catch up on what we were not wanting to look at and deal with. This is a major theme, right? And the 9th house here, kind of the locomotive, you could say, the leading 2 points, planets here of this whole line, you could say. This, if you look at this like a train, then here we have the locomotive. So it also says when, for example, again the moon travels over all these planets, it will catch energies everywhere, assemble a little bit, and then this will be the final point of release, in that sense. So this is very big, and this will be exact on the 27th of October, just a few days away. This is really close. The black moon moves about 6 to 7 minutes of arc per day. So further, very interesting, the degree here in the center. This is the consciousness axis, the consciousness field, if you want, what the plumb line in that location on the 0 meridian of our planet, which divides the Earth in a western and an eastern hemisphere. So 1327, why is this so special? That is the degree of the sun of the American Nations Foundation, which is the date of the Declaration of the Independence. And the time here which I'm using, that goes back to Dane Rudyard, the great astrologers of the 20th century, who was having very good, he made several really good predictions about the United States. So he worked a lot of this chart, and it seems to work perfectly for me too. As I show you and have shown you many times, there's always some amazing synchronicities there with these degrees. The 13th degree of Sagittarius as the rising degree where the great attractor is, for example. And yes, you go anywhere onto this planet, to China or to Australia or Europe, people want to go to America. That's their dream. At least the majority, I would say, of people who live on our planet, in India, in China, in Africa, people want to go to the United States. It's kind of the great attractor. It's also that Sagittarian energy of bigger and better and faster. So I think the Sag rising overall makes lots of sense. And as I say, the Sun here at 1319 Cancer, that is where the midheaven is in this global scorpionic chart, which means all eyes go that direction. That's where our focus is. So let's see where how this moment looks in the United States, in Washington, in the capital of this country. And sure enough, this is a very special moment too. That was happening right at midnight. It says 0:51 Eastern Daylight Time, but this was the moment of local midnight because of the time zones and the daylight and the standard time that always shifts a little bit. But when the Sun here, when that degree is exactly at the bottom of the chart, that's really the beginning of the new day. Actually, it was just a few minutes before the new day, in that sense. If we think that the ascendant and then the midnight point here, in that sense, I should say, moves in that direction every 4 minutes 1 degree. So this is about a minute before midnight, if you want to be most exact. But what I want to say, this is a powerful moment of a new day breaking. That's what it says. And again, we have the 10 degrees here, in a perfect grand trine with or actually, I should say differently, in a trine with Chiron, and in a perfect sextile here, midpoint, that ominous Black Moon Ceres conjunction here at 10 degrees Gemini. So that is powerfully framed in here. Then here another 30-degree angle here to the part of Fortune and Pallas, in a square aspect to the Black Moon and Ceres here. Pallas, the asteroid of, it's a very analytical energy of art and science, is governed by Pallas. Also Pallas stands for the law, and she's often depicted as the figurine with the blindfold and the scale and the sword. So it's very much also about law and justice. So now what I did in my next chart here is the midpoint of the nation's natal chart of 1776 and this chart of the Scorpio ingress, and this brings us to this chart, which is, as I said, the time-space midpoint, 1899, end of February. For those of you who are new here, those midpoints hold an enormous power. It's kind of the observation point. It's where these two energies meet. And I work a lot with these in personal astrology too. It works really great. It shows you the balancing point between what is and what we are experiencing in terms of fluctuations in the energy. It's the point of observation. So in that moment, you see, again, we have a very similar geometry here. Almost the same as in this chart here, the Greenwich chart of October 23rd, when the Sun went into Scorpio, and this is the midpoint chart of the American nations chart with that moment, that same moment as calculated for the capital of the country. So that ends up with this chart, and this again shows an amazing result in that sense that again the nation's sun here will appear right at the center of the heavens, which indicates that this is a time of finding one's being, of being focused on who are we really as a nation. And again, this is bigger than just America. I mean, this is the beginning of the new age, if you want, of new earth. That was the foundation of the United States. If you look at in a much bigger way, this was really the beginning, when that just a really very wise and far with a great vision that Constitution of the United States has been written. These were very gifted, very visionary people who did that, coming out of the dark ages into the age of freedom, of sovereignty, equal rights. All those basic human rights, they were first written down in the American nation's constitution. So that's why this chart is so overarchingly important globally now, and as I have shown you before, the whole world's focus of all the people who are awake is towards the United States. That's where the hub of power is. That's where things will change first to the better, and then everything will follow in its wake. So this speaks that yes, this month is this whole 4 weeks between October 22nd and November 22nd, roughly, when which are the 30 days with the Sun in Scorpio. Our focus globally is on the United States. See the moon here in this midpoint chart, conjunct Salasya. Salasya is about enjoyment. We are now at the point where we start really enjoying the show. But it's not all that enjoyable, to be honest, because what we see here on the other side is dark and difficult. And there's lots of problems to be resolved. We have to roll the sleeves back, get our hands dirty, and dig deep down into the underground, into the dark, mysterious realms of abuse and of deception, all those dark things which Setna is reflecting. And this is even more strong, this opposition, as it is T-squaring here again the nodes. Whenever something is T-squaring the nodal axis, that becomes the agent of progress. It's the forces which then push us to evolve. And the evolution here is toward Capricorn, and it so happens that here at this area of Capricorn is the American nations Aries. Just want to point this one out here. You see, that's where Aries is at 8 degrees. Aries, again, the female force of not giving in before all the conflicts are open and fought out in pursuit of greater, deeper truth. Interesting here in this midpoint chart also this Jupiter-Ceres conjunction in Scorpio. You remember in the transit chart we have that black moon Ceres conjunction here around 10 degrees Gemini. If we just go back one step, then you see it again, you see here. So Ceres with the dark moon in 10 degrees Gemini, and here Ceres with Jupiter 10 degrees Scorpio. So that's a 150 degree angle in itself, which is a quincunx or an inconjunct, and that black moon Ceres here and by transit is activating this 9th house cusp again, the 9th house of seeing the bigger picture, the truth and nothing but the truth. That's really the motivation of Sagittarius. And we are seeking, we are not giving in before we know. The travel might be far and it might take a lot of time, but it's worth it. That's the Sagittarian energy. And you see there's also Uranus here in Sag in this midpoint chart together with Chiron again, and last but not least, this is where the American nations Uranus is natally. Just it all is just adding in so amazingly all these different layers. Well, that's how astrology works. It's complex, I know, and there's way more in this chart. I'm really just pointing out the most important markers, so to say. I could go on and on and on. So anyway, but that is the midpoint chart. This is the midpoint chart of that moment when the sun entered Scorpio. Now, midpoints move at half the speed naturally. If we go here in real life 1 day ahead, then the midpoint will move only 12 hours because it starts at the 0 point, so to say. So whenever you get the picture. What I want to show you now is that this ingress of the sun into Scorpio was the last of a series of shifts which happened in that midpoint chart. And it started about 6-7 days earlier in real time, which is about half that time in the midpoints, with a Venus-Mars opposition. See, Venus is here a few degrees past that opposition point. So now let's just scroll back. I want to show you quickly these shifts. And again, these are based on the 5:14 p.m. time for the American nation's birth, so to say, when, as I would understand, the final signature of the 13 states was put under this document when it was all set in stone. So this is now, as I say, goes back a few days. You see, this is now February 24th, whereas here we were at the 28th of February. So this is 4 days in that midpoint move, which is 8 days, as I say, roughly, in real time. So 8 days ago, in the midpoints, we had a Venus-Mars opposition, here, 1927. I spoke about this chart in one of my earlier videos because it's, again, so amazing how it fits into the charts. This is the nodal axis of the American nation. See? 6 degrees 35 North Node in Leo, 6:35 Aquarius in and then here this means the North Node here is at the 7th house cusp, and so the signature of Venus-Mars opposition is, this is extremely creative. Let's build something new. Let's put something together which works, kind of. That's the intention here. Interesting, again, this is President Trump's midheaven midnight axis, just the other way around. His midheaven is 2418 in Taurus, and this is his midnight point. So anyway, there's some resonance there, and the keen observer may say he's still there in the background. We know it is. So this is a confirmation. Then just a couple days later, so this was roughly around the 15th, as I say, of October, when this was exact by midpoints. Then around the 17th, there was a full moon. FM means full moon in the midpoints 647, 647. And this time we have Mars here at the bottom, Venus at the top of the chart, just reiterating this new creation cycle, which is just getting pulled off here, just getting started. Then another couple days later in real time, or one day later by midpoints, Pluto is stationary. Now this is a big one. This happens in real transit time once every 5 to 7 months that Pluto turns direction. So this Pluto by midpoints, as you see, just the day before, Pluto was still going retrograde. Here this little R means it's still in backward motion. And then that was on the 25th, and on the 26th, now Pluto is turning direct. So Pluto by midpoints has been moving backwards for the last 10 months roughly. So pretty much since the beginning of the year. So this is a big one, and Pluto again has to do with with power in general and with change, metamorphosis. I mean, every planet has many levels. This happens to be the ascendant-descendant axis of the nation again, just to zoom back here quickly to show you here how this all comes together. So Pluto by midpoints here in the 13th degree of Gemini, and Chiron here in the 12th degree of Sag. If we just zoom back to this chart, you see here they are again. Pluto 13, Chiron 12. So this is a multi-year aspect here over the ascendant-descendant axis of the nation, which makes total sense. Chiron again undoing and healing and remedying, being the correcting agent, pointing out flaws and fixing them at best, of all the power structures here involved. So Pluto direct, yes, that's a big one. That means, okay, we get into forward motion. Now see one more thing, Mars here is still retrograde. And, okay, anyway, but the next change then, okay, that's the Pluto direct, right? That's the one. And then, okay, and another day after February 27 here, or if we go by real time, this would be around the 22nd. Guess what? Mars turned direct too. That is big, both in sequence. That's why I was so sure already months and months ago that this would be a major turning point. You might not have felt it yet immediately, but it's happening. The gears have changed. It is a new wind which is blowing. And we will get to it. I will show you more. This coming week, today as I'm recording, this is the 24th in the evening. This coming week, I just said it to my wife at dinner, this will be the biggest week of the year. This is, and I will show you in the next video, just a quick preview here. I will talk about this here after in my next one. This is the structure of the next week. Very, very special, very rare that so many channels are activated at once. Anyway, this is then the moment Mars turned direct by midpoint, and we see an early Sag rising, Gemini 7th house cusp. That is the nodal axis of our transits. They are here in this area of about 2 degrees right now. Again, the North Node here, transit North Node in Gemini, going towards the 7th house. It is about connecting with people, very important. That's one of the key themes of our times, to find your tribe, to support the people you love, to support all the others who are on the same page, because in numbers make us strong. We have to stand together, we have to become vocal, very vocal, because this is really the turning point here. The moon in this midpoint chart, when Mars turned direct, T-squaring the galactic center and opposing Radamantis. Radamantis, all about justice, sincerity, truth, and as I say, they are T-squared by the galactic center here at 2709. Very, very exact, very almost dead on, showing that this will be a main theme here, to focus on what is true, what is just, what is right, what is correct in a more universal way. This is interesting too, this Neptune. Neptune is very, very strongly placed these days, and it's actually right. Well, this is the midpoint Neptune, and it so happens that the midpoint Neptune is in square to the actual Neptune by transit. If we go back here for a sec to the Washington chart, and you see Neptune here 2049 Pisces, and here in this midpoint chart 21 Gemini, and in the nation space chart it's 22 something Virgo. So there's a Neptune T-square here of all the 3 charts. If you can if you follow me, this is the nation's natal chart. So there's this T-square of Neptune energy, and there's Arrokoth here on the other side, in the base chart, in the natal chart. Arrokoth 2133 Pisces. Arrokoth again is the one which opens the curtain and lets us see the whole picture. It's the force of integration, of integrated view of, okay, now all the facts have come into vision, now what? Now we can make a real in a judgment which is based on as good as it can get. That's kind of the Arrow-Cot energy which is coming in here, and it is the saving grace in many ways in this position here, opposing this very twisted energy of Black Moon and Neptune, which is all the propaganda which we have been fed as a people, as a nation, as a world, in the ninth house, sold as truth and nothing but the truth, by just pure repetition and hammering it into people's minds 24/7, all stations saying the same thing as we know now by those who has revealed it through their research. Because how can people usually know? They only watch one channel. But if you then go to your neighbor's house who listens to a different channel, and they say even the same words, and you go to another party who listens even maybe even in another country to the same news, the same story, the same words. It's unbelievable. It's really a script, and it has been done so insidiously. Refined by now, that whole way they catch people, how they get into their system with their messages and convince them of things which are not. Anyway, this is all going to be exposed now, and Mars, you see here 21 Gemini. Mars is definitely a very important planet here in the American chart. Mars is the one which comes in and then shakes things up, and with TX 300, which is more of a little bit of a rude shaking, and has also a bit to do with military. TX 300 is still a planet which is not too well known, but it's rude and rough. So this can be at times a little bit wild, getting out of hand. So again, this is then that midpoint of when Mars turned direct a couple days ago, the Moon at 27 Virgo, and then just another few hours later there is the the superior conjunction of Mercury with the Sun. I should say that's when Mercury moves forward. This is Earth, so to say. The Mercury is exactly behind the Sun. The Sun would be here in the center, and Mercury would be behind the Sun. And this is the high point of a 4-month Sun-Earth-Mercury cycle. And again, if we translate this into real time, 4 months in midpoints is 8 months in real time. So what stands out here is again the 3-degree Gemini Sagittarius. This time it is. You see in the chart before it was just the opposite, but again it's bringing the nodal axis into resonance here by transit, and then naturally again the 10 degrees. Now it's Aquarius Leo, which resonates here with the 10-degree Jupiter Ceres. Jupiter is expansive, very expansive. This is the most yang point in the chart. You see, this is the plumb line. So this is the most yang, the most vertically extended to the right, so to say, in the 6th house, in this house of health and healing. That is the main focal point here. And Aspolus, interestingly, another one I spoke about several times, Aspolus being right aligned to the galactic center this year and next year. Aspolus, the seer, but also very much a Sherlock Holmes character of wanting to resolve mysteries and dark stories. So this is very fitting that while Mercury, you see again, Mercury also plays in here by transit, as it is now at here at the 11-10 degrees Libra, marked by transit, opposing Chiron, as we just I should show you once more here. Let's go back to this chart here. It's easier to see. 11 degrees, that is as of Saturday the 23rd. Mercury now picks up in momentum day by day a bit, but that's where it was or still is around. So it is tying into this chart in a very nice way. So what was that? Okay, let me see. Okay, right, I did this chart too, because I'm more and more convinced. Actually, it was in the news. Phoenix, Arizona will be the new capital of the United States after the big shifts and changes. That's where it will be, and sure enough, Phoenix is a PowerPoint, shows up in all charts. I did a whole video on how the charts come together in Phoenix as a power center in this particular time. You see here we have 10 degrees Aries. That's where Chiron is by transit, Mercury by transit. So, and the lunar nodes. I found it very, very special. This is again the superior conjunction of Mercury and the Sun as of February 27, 1899. And okay, I just want to tease you with one more chart as we're heading into the crazy month of November, which will be the deciding moment when everything comes to its head. That's what astrology shows, and particularly these coming 6-7 days will be most interesting. Anyway, just a little preview. This is then the full moon chart of November 19. And what do we see here? This is for Greenwich at the 0 meridian, 1313, Sagittarius rising. And if we just zoom back here quickly, and I have not cheated, this is really as it is. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing, the synchronicity. Again, in a nutshell, saying yes, all eyes are on what's happening over here in the West, in the United States in America. Yes, this is again base chart, and here we are. This is the full moon of November 19, and it so happens that the 14th degree of Libra here, which is in midheaven, that is where Saturn is in the American nations chart. Saturn in midheaven is always a shift in power structure. It is the moment of reality, of being called to reality, of having to face reality. Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is in its highest placement in the skies, so to say. That is the hour of truth, you could call it. And that's what it appears. This will be, by the way, the third full moon, which is in the 27 degree range, which makes an exact aspect to the galactic center. I just did look into this a couple days ago. This is something I will definitely speak about more than just now, but just here as a little addendum. September the 22nd, I guess it was the first full moon in that in that orb with the galactic center, and then October the 20th, November the 19th, December the 19th, January the 17th, February, I don't know, I guess it's the 16th, March, also around the 16th, and April, the 17th or so. They all are within half a degree of exactness by average. It's about, yeah, most of them are most exactly aligned to the galactic center, which shows these are especially, these are times where higher dimensional energies are streaming into this planet, where we are getting lots of help and support, and we're holding hands from higher energies. Anyway, that's it for this video. I make another one a bit where I'm explaining you what I see for this coming 7-day period, and backing it up by all the energies which are activated in every human being's electromagnetic grid. Okay, thanks again, and if you did like it, show it with your little icon there, and subscribe if you wish, then you get notified whenever I have a new one out. Okay, thanks again, take care friends, bye bye.